Hello, people. Welcome back to the DreamState Livin podcast. Today is another solo episode, and I am excited, nervous, a lot to talk about this subject, a lot of feelings that I have been going through and working through and developing around my sobriety journey away from alcohol. And today's going to be all about that and what the why, the how, the challenges, the opportunities, all of that we're going to cover. So I wanted to start with kind of my journey with alcohol. So I think back and I remember my first time drinking. Man, I probably had to be like 14 years old. And I remember what it was too, which is funny. I was with my friend Brian, and uh, we used to be like RuneScape buddies. We played this game called RuneScape, and we're at my house, and my two older brothers, they have like 4 years on me. So at this point, I'm 13, 14. They're 17, 18. So drinking, when we grow up around that age is common. So I'm 13, 14 years old, and my brother John gives me this tall vodka cranberry. This thing was nasty. That was my introduction to alcohol. So I took like a few sips of it, kind of hid the rest of it, poured a little down the drain. I was like, hey, I drank a lot of it. And it was like the cool thing to do was drinking, right? And throughout my younger stages of life, we drank a lot. It was just part of the culture. Uh, Growing up out of high school, um, throughout high school, drinking was a big part of it. And out of high school, it became an even bigger part. My brother Jake gave me his ID for my 19th birthday. So when I turned 19, I was essentially 21. I looked just like my brother Jake. So I started entering the bar scene. And was pretty darn good at the bar scene as well. I looked older for my age. I carried myself older, so I really got into the drinking bar scene from a very young age. While most people were doing their drinking in college, I was going to nice bars, talking up older people, and just having a blast and a little bit more of a sophisticated drinker, if you will, because of my experience with the restaurant industry. And the restaurant industry is a whole nother beast. Being in the restaurant industry, being around wine, fine spirits, and I was in fine dining as well, so there was an abundance of alcohol, and it was just part of the job. It's like, hey, you want to be a better server? Drink more wine. All right, sign me up. Sounds great. I'll go to New York and do a tasting. I'll read books on wine. I'll work to get a sommelier license. I did all these things, and it was conflicting because I was also an athlete and I loved the gym, but I was drinking like an absolute freaking fish. So it was quite conflicting. And as years went on, most of my 20s were really heavily around alcohol, which you listening probably the same thing. And maybe that's still there for you. Love a good coffee. Stop drinking. I said something to my brother who's also sober. I sent something to him yesterday. And it was like, once you stop drinking, you'll realize how much more coffee you drink. So throughout my 20s, heavy drinking. Heavy drinking was just like, most of my 20s up until 24, I was in the restaurant game. And then a big shift for me was getting into sales and really needing to be sharp as a tack all the time. And I realized that alcohol was affecting my cognitive ability. So I would actually start to not drink as much as I did when I was in the restaurant business. I would just drink during celebratory times. I, I was a big fan of like glass of wine or two or three a night. So I'd do that sometimes, but I'd even wake up just feeling foggy. So I tend to start ditching that as well throughout my sales career. And then I started doing these longer blitzes with going without alcohol, and I'd feel fantastic, but then I'd miss the alcohol. I was addicted to the fun of it, and it was because it became such a part of my identity. I remember I was dating a girl and we decided to do 75 hard, and around day 50, I quit the drinking, and I blamed it on at the time, unfortunately, my mom was diagnosed with a sickness, and I had to fly home to meet her. And I was like, oh my God, my mom got this sickness. We need to have drinks. I went home, drank with my mom, and she ended up being fine after that. Thank God. But I was like, man, I could have just like, why did I need to break my commitment to myself? And that was a big question at that point. It's like I was so committed to doing 75 hard, but the one thing that broke me was alcohol. So it started raising questions around that time. It's like, hey, and your brother has a problem with alcohol, but no, not you. You don't have a problem. You don't have a problem. And I realized as I got older, alcohol started to change its relationship with me, or I started to change my relationship with alcohol. So around 25, 26, I started to try and do these blitzes without alcohol. And it was challenging. It was really hard. A lot of it was the social aspect of it, missing out on that and the pressure, and then also pressure of life and business. Oh, I just really want to drink right now. I really want to go to the bar. I really want to go to this party and just let loose and laugh. And that was a factor of it. So I had trouble getting rid of it. And then life happens. Relationships, going through relationships, and alcohol is a big vice for me. So if I was having a hard time in a relationship or a relationship with thyself, I would drink my feelings away. Truthfully, I would just drink my feelings away. And I see a lot of people doing that now, and they don't even realize it. They're unconsciously drinking their feelings away. So this awareness started to more and more come up. And also, as I got older, I got fatter too. As we get older, it's not as easy to stay in shape. So if I'm drinking 3, 4 nights a week, that's a lot of calories that's adding up, and it's not keeping me in the physical shape that I want to be in. So I started to pay attention there. I was just not happy with how it was looking, and a lot of that correlated to my drinking. Because when you drink, what does that lead to? It leads to worse decisions with your food. It leads to overindulging in other things. Just a whole slew of bad habits after the drinking. So around 28, I started to take like 3 months off drinking, and I felt fantastic. And a big thing was I hit my biggest months in business as well when I was sober. So I'd hit my first time ever making over $60,000 in a month was when I was due to not drinking. So I made my first time making over 60K. So I made 60K plus in a month, and and that was paid out actually. If anyone's familiar with sales, sometimes you sell something, you don't get paid out. So that month I actually was over 6 figures of revenue, of gross revenue, but paid out revenue the next month was like 60K, then 40, what have you. So in 1 month, my effort was equivalent to over 6 figures sober. What do you think I did after that month? I celebrated. We went out drinking one night, was out till 5 a.m. drinking, maybe doing some other things, catching my drift. And then the next day I flew to a wedding in Colorado, felt like absolute dog shit on the plane. And I met my brother who's sober, big problem with alcohol, so he wasn't drinking. And it's funny, an ex-addict knows when someone's going through it. And I was going through it that day after that bender that I went on the night before after that big month. And then what do you think I proceeded to do over the wedding the next 3 days? I drank like an absolute fish there as well. And all that momentum and energy I built up by having that huge month in business took a big plateau down. So that was a big eye opener for me. That wasn't it. That wasn't, you'd think like, they say a lot of people hit like a big rock bottom before they make the decision. I never really had like a big rock bottom. It was more these little things over time, like that experience. Like when I see people like that experience I just explained, to me, that was really challenging, but that's just like a normal month for some people. They do that at least once or more than once a month. They go on like a 3-day bender, and it was just really starting to eat me up. So past a year, I was turning 29, and I was in Thailand with the DreamState, my mastermind. And I started this business around spirituality, around Dharma, fulfilling life's purpose. And while I was on this trip, we had an amazing time. We cycled 130 kilometers through the Chiang Mai Mountains. We deeply bonded. We lived with monks. We went to this retreat center. One night we all went out. And maybe it was because I wasn't drinking a lot, but I had a couple drinks and I was up all night throwing up. And then the next day we were going to do a San Pedro ceremony, and we got started really early in the morning, and I could not drink it. I felt that sick to my stomach that I did not drink the San Pedro. So in that moment, I felt like such a phony. Like, who are you? You're leading these retreats. You're running calls around spirituality, but here you are drinking whatever it was you were drinking all night long and can't even contribute in the ceremony. So that really bothered me, and that's when a lot more questions started to come up. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you drinking, Ethan? What does it do for you? And in my life, I like to just put like a balance scale down, positives, negatives. So after that journey, I sat down with myself and, I put down the positive negatives, and it was clear. It was very clear. There wasn't much positives to drinking, just a few social things. And then the real kicker happened for me. After that trip, I drove cross country. So my car was in San Francisco. I was moving back to Rhode Island, my hometown. Whew! And this was a challenge. So I had an epic drive cross country in a Model 3 Tesla. Don't recommend it. If anybody has a Tesla, do not drive that thing cross country. That was absolutely terrible. So I drove my Tesla cross country, met some dope people along the way, had fun, was partying, was drinking on the way home. Like I said, I didn't hit a big rock bottom. I had a challenging thing, but I continued to stay on it. And these questions were still in the back of my mind, though, which might be in the back of your mind. Like, hey, like, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing to this? Well, listen to that voice. Maybe there's a reason why you're here right now. Listen to this podcast. But listen to that voice and ask yourself the hard questions. So I get back home, and I remember my mom described it to me as, Ethan, you're going through a dark night of the soul, which she couldn't have hit it on a bigger point. I was just living in California for the last 8, 9 years on my own. I failed a lot, and I accomplished some amazing, amazing things throughout those years, all on my own. I didn't have any help. And I felt really proud on that. And I created this whole new identity of a human being. I created the new Ethan. And this new Ethan was vibrant, was full of life, powerful, was an accomplished business guy, was a leader, was a great friend, is who I created. And then when I got back to Rhode Island, I felt this weird, like, holy shit. I left here when I was 21 and my identity was so different, but people are expecting me to be the same. I remember I went out with some friends, and one thing one dude said that, like, it scared the shit out of me. And he said, well, there's two things that two people said that scared the shit out of me. One thing was, looks like the band's all back together. And I was like, oh God, because they're these guys, I love them. I love them to death, but they're still living the same life that they were living at 21 when I left, going to the bars all weekend. And that scared the shit out of me. Another dude said something. And it's just like, "Oh, we got one of our boys back in the crew," or something like that. And it scared me because I worked so hard to become who I was that I didn't want to go back to who I used to be, if that makes sense. So I had a couple big nights drinking. This girl that I was dating had moved from Europe to come to Rhode Island, and amazing, amazing girl. Just wasn't, the compatibility wasn't there. And whenever, like, I'm in something, and this happened in past relationships with me as well, if I'm not happy when I'm in something, I tend to would use alcohol. Alcohol makes you enjoy something that's not really enjoyable, if that makes sense. That's why when you usually keep around the same friends that don't really interest you, because alcohol can make anything enjoyable. So I made a decision last August, while I was still in Rhode Island, while I was still in this relationship, that I was going to go sober for a year. And at that point, the decision was made is when things got challenging. So made a decision to get sober for a year. No one believes you're actually going to stick with it. Your friends, I don't know if they're serious or they actually forget. Even your family consistently asks you, "Hey, oh, you're still sober? You're still not drinking? Are you still not drinking?" I still get a phone call all the time. "Oh, you're still not drinking? Hey, you still not drinking?" And it's usually when they're drinking they ask you that. And it's like, "Yes, I'm still not drinking. I'm staying committed to my goal. I said I wasn't going to." So in the beginning phases, it's really challenging because your mind is used to having an external substance that you go to when things get challenging or when things get uncomfortable. Hence, when you go to a social outing, it's usually a little bit uncomfortable. "Hey, how are you doing? Networking, X, Y, and Z." So you use alcohol. If you go on a date, it's a little bit uncomfortable. You're meeting a girl for the first time. "Hey, let's get a drink." And you smooth out, and then you're like, "Oh, this is truly me with a couple drinks in me." No, it's not truly you. It's liquid energy. It's liquid confidence. And so in the beginning, without having that access to this vice that you've been reliant for your whole life, almost for over half of my life. I was 29 at the time. I'm 30 now. For most of your life, you had this vice, and now you don't have it. Whoa, whoa. So it's not that things just get easier. No, things get challenging. Things get really hard in the beginning. You start to have your shadow self come out more, and it starts to question things. It's like, oh, wow, how do you feel now? And you can't avoid this. And what tends to happen, if anybody has a little bit of an addictive trait, an addictive personality, which I believe a lot of us do, we're natural copers as human beings, I believe. We tend to cope with things. Everyone has a different coping mechanism to avoid past trauma, past pain. So when I no longer had alcohol as a vice, and I was so focused and clear on not bringing it back into my life, it wasn't even an option. I started to get annoyed when people would ask me, but then I just got used to it. It's like, okay, they don't understand. It's like, no, don't drink. All good. Thank you. And then you start to gain some confidence from that. But when you don't have this coping mechanism that you relied on for so long, what happened to me is I started to go towards other ways of coping. So I would overutilize social media. I'd have to catch myself on the scrolling. I would eat a lot. I would binge eat, and I would eat when I'd start to I've been really good at paying attention to like what happens when I get into these phases of like, okay, this is when I would unconsciously like go make a drink, or there's something going on right now. So you learn to take a step back and like, okay, why do you want to go eat an acai bowl or eat this right now? Have the awareness and then answer the question. Why do you want to go open that bottle of wine right now? We just tend to get such in patterns with things. It's like, oh my God, today was such a busy day. I can't wait to get home and open that bottle of wine. You sit down, you open that bottle of wine. A bottle of wine later, you're looking for the next bottle and you're just like, you're a fucking zombie. And the same thing can happen with other ways of coping. Common one is food. I see a lot of times as well, people use relationships. They become codependent with other human beings versus being codependent with a vice like alcohol or food, X, Y, and Z. So you have that girl or that guy over that you know you shouldn't be over. You hang out with the people that just sit around and talk shit because it's going to bring you comfort to sit around and gossip, right? We all have different ways of coping. So for me, sobriety helped me be a lot more aware of what I'm doing in the moment, taking a step back, sitting in silence and just, okay, why? That word right there can change your life. Why? Why am I doing this? Why am I drinking? So I have a little bit of notes here that I wanted to go through. So here's some things that will happen once you commit. So inevitably your work, whatever you do, is going to go up. You just have more time, you have more energy to be proficient. You no longer have the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday blues. You don't have the Friday, I can't wait for this to be done. You start to live more in the present moment. You'll shift some serious habits. Like you'll probably go to the gym more consistently. You'll just get more consistent in your life. I've talked about this on other videos, so I don't really want to go too much in detail with all the positives. There's so many other videos that you can watch on that. But there's just less distraction, more consistency, higher confidence in all areas. I've gotten to the point now where I am at my peak level of confidence I've ever been in my life. And I thought that came from I could go and be an excellent networker because I'd have a little bit of alcohol, but it actually was the opposite for me. I wasn't a good networker when I was drinking because I would interrupt people. I wouldn't truly listen. You'd start talking about bullshit and you'd talk to people that would also want to talk about bullshit. But what I've realized is I tend to start networking with also amazing people that are on my frequency. And the people that are drinking a lot tend to be a little bit more curious of the sober dude. Oh, wow, you're out here, you seem supremely confident and you're not drinking? Wow, this dude's interesting. I want some of that. So it helps your business, whatever your business might be in. You're going to have people that are going to want to be around you. And then this can kind of correlate to the confidence, but the identity shift. Who are you? Who are you without the identification of I like tequila sodas with lime? Who are you when you go to a restaurant? It's just like water with lemon, please. That identity shift compounds to your confidence like crazy. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Because now, after a long time, you start to conform to yourself that I am not the type of person that drinks myself to sleep. I am the type of person that sticks to his goals, that is temperate in all aspects, that can say no, that knows boundaries, that is confident in one's decisions, and can stay up till 2 a.m. and wake up at 6 a.m., baby, and run 18 miles. Let's go. Because people think that you're going to lose out on social activities. In the beginning, for me, it was very challenging. I'll be honest with you. Very challenging in the beginning to go out to social events. I just ignored them. I didn't do them. I was like, no, I'd rather just stay home and read or work on something, which at the time was perfect for me. I actually enjoyed that phase, that beginning phase of kind of just saying no to things. I was living in Rhode Island. I didn't want to go out with really much people there. So I just stayed home. I worked out like an absolute savage. I stayed home, spent time with my family, quality time with my mom, my brothers. I did some creative things. And then as I proceeded into my sobriety journey, I started saying yes more. I started saying yes to going out. In the beginning, people are a little bit surprised that you don't drink and you might get some heat for it. But over time, those people either shed off because you're going to be sick of them. So you're not going to even say yes to hanging out with them, or they're going to understand where you're at and they're going to appreciate you for who you are. And then my favorite part is you're going to start coffee beaning people. So people are going to see how grounded you are, how good you feel, that they're going to try it too. Oh, you know what? Ethan's doing this sober thing. I'm gonna hop on with him. I'm gonna give that a shot because I really enjoyed his conversation. I really enjoyed his energy. So I'm gonna go hit a workout in with him. And you start affecting other people. That's a really beautiful, one of my favorite parts about it. But it's gonna be challenging and you're gonna have to confront social pressures. So going out to places where everyone's loaded. So, oh, Ethan, come on, just have one with us. Just have this. I would get that all the time. But if you're so grounded and rooted in your decision, then it doesn't really bother you because you're just going to keep saying no and they eventually stop asking. So it's just like, no, I'm okay. And just being calm. And then kind of like what I just said, that's going to help you decipher what type of rooms you want to stay in, what type of rooms you want to go in. And by nature, what's going to happen is you're going to find out who are your drinking buddies or who are actually your true friends. Because drinking buddies, what they'll say is along the lines of, oh, you're really not going to do this. I had one friend actually, he's just like, oh, you're only doing a year. Okay, good. So you'll be able to drink at my bachelor party. And to me, that was like such a slap in the face that I had a buddy who, I've been friends with for a long time. And for him to like just say that, it was just like, wow, this dude like actually care about me? Does this dude actually care about me? Because, a true friend would be like, hey, whether you drink or not at my bachelor party, would still love to have you there. So that was challenging for me. And it gives you some clarity on some people who you thought were really close to you. And then you start to see how they react to your decisions that are good for you, but maybe not good for them. Because what's going to happen is you have a lot of relationships right now that are revolved around drinking, and no one likes to drink alone. So you have this relationship that, hey, we used to go out, we'd have a couple drinks, have good dinner, it'd be awesome. We'd go out partying, we'd do all this. And now it's just like, okay, Maverick ain't doing that anymore. Goose is still going out, but Maverick ain't joining. What's going on here? So you're going to have to confront those friends of just like, hey, man, like, I told you I'm not doing this. I told you I'm not drinking. I'd really appreciate if you could accept that and appreciate that I'm doing something good for me. This is what I want to do for my life right now. Oh, but you got to enjoy life, Ethan. Let me tell you this, pal. A sober life is, for me, 10 times more enjoyable. 10 times more enjoyable because what you're trading off consistent happiness for extreme happiness for 3-4 hours. Because let's face it, it's fun when you drink for a couple hours. Then after that, it's not fun. Your dopamine's depleted. You feel like absolute garbage for a few days, especially as you get older. So it's just like I love that quote. It's just like you're trading tomorrow's happiness for today. So you're borrowing tomorrow's happiness for today. And it's so true. So just learning how to confront those friends and letting them know. And then you might have to start to say no to some relationships. And that could be very challenging. But life is too short to be around people that don't align with your values or don't actually care about you as a human being. One of my best friends, Alex, fucking love Alex. But when I told him, and I knew he was going to do this because we've been best friends since we were 10 years old. But when I told Alex, got on the phone, it was just like, yo, dude, like, I know your wedding's coming up. Just want to let you know, like, I'm a year sober right now. So that's what it is. Just like, brother, I love you so much. And I'm so proud of you. That's all he said. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. And then he talked about how he's been strengthening his relationship as well. It's not like, oh man, you're not going to drink at the wedding. Nothing like that. He's always been so supportive of me, and I hope I've been so supportive of him. But Alex is a friend that we all that I hope everyone has. I hope everyone has an Alex like I have to me. Because no matter what I've ever done in life, Alex has been one of my biggest supporters. And that's why I know he's like my absolute top dog. So Alex, if you made it here and you're listening, I love you, brother, and I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks at the wedding. So, how do we learn how to have fun without being drunk? Because we've all, you know, let loose with friends and had a good time. So I'll be honest, like clubs for me, I need alcohol for those fucking joints. I do not really like clubs. I don't like people bumping into me. I don't like the floor all messy. I don't like not being able to talk. I'm just an intellectual that I like to be able to speak to people. I've always been like this. Even when I was a drinker, I'd always like to go out to a jazz bar and be able to have deep conversation. By 19, I was like this, but I still went to the clubs because it's what the friends wanted to do. And it was a good thing. Like maybe the end of the night, you go dancing at the club, which Latin clubs here in Latin America, I can get down with those because I like Latin dancing, but still, like only for a little bit. So you just learn what type of environments you want to be in, and then you strive towards those environments. So for me, what I learned that I like to do to have fun is I like to find friends that like to do fitness. So I like to craft my relationships around that. So have some commonalities with CrossFit, with running, with hiking, things of that nature. I like to meet people in yoga studios, things like this. So we can have that to do because it's a fun way to like spend time together. You go to a yoga class and then you get some lunch after. And what else happens in these type of relationships? You get invited to things like sound baths. I went to one recently, and you just get invited to more like healthier type things, which I really enjoy. That brings me happiness now. You might be listening to this like that sounds fucking boring. I'd rather go booze it up and have brunch. Yeah, but give it a try because that's your past identity that would rather go booze it up and have brunch. I've been there as well. But let me tell you, 2 o'clock on an afternoon after drinking bottomless mimosa since 10 a.m. and 2 o'clock afternoon after an incredible morning with a hike, with good conversation, with a nice lunch and no alcohol, 2 o'clock in the afternoon is a different feeling. And not having alcohol in you feels fucking amazing. I also like to make sure that I'm saying yes to networking type events where people are drinking at. I enjoy being in those environments where it's more of like a social thing. So it's not like a let's chug beers and let's just get piss drunk, but people are, networking, having a couple drinks because those people tend to not be repeating themselves. I can't stand when some drunk dude or girl is just talking to me and they're just repeating themselves because they're so drunk. They're so inebriated. And I'm just like, hey, pal, you've said that 3 times. I'm going to go take a piss. Bye. So in these type of environments, like I go to cigar dinners. I like to smoke a nice cigar. So I go to cigar dinners a lot with boys, with men, and talk about business. That brings happiness to me in my life right now. I like going to out dancing. So salsa dancing, merengue, any type of like environment like that, I really enjoy. And then I like going out with females. Like I'm a man, I'm a single man in his 30s. Like I like meeting females, so going out. And the other night I was out till 2 in the morning at a bar with a female and two of my friends, just having great conversation till 2 a.m. So you don't need to like say that, oh, now because I'm sober, I'm going to go to bed at 9 o'clock and live this boring life. Like, no, you're going to learn to still go out to things. You can learn to still have fun. And I enjoy it so much more. Like the other night, we went to this bar and back to the coffee bean effect that nobody else drank. And I don't know if they were just being cool because I didn't drink, but they did drink around me in the past, but no one else drank. So we're at this bar. They were playing like techno music. It was fucking awesome. Nobody else drank. I thought that was really amazing. So we're sitting there drinking electrolytes. We had a couple appetizers and we were having deep, good conversation till 2 in the morning. To you, that might seem boring, but to me in my life, like that's what I enjoy. So the point here is find out what you enjoy and try and start doing it sober if you want to live this life. You don't need to say no to going out. But one thing I'll guarantee is you're probably not going to hang out with the same people you've been hanging out with. You probably won't because they're drinking buddies. You have a couple drinks, and a good test is when I see people get together and like usually a night out starts sober. The energy is usually it's just like, oh, hey, what's up, bro? And it's just like, where's the alcohol? Right away. Where's the alcohol? Oh, let's go drink a beer. Let's go get started. And then that's when the energy goes up. It's like, okay, yeah, yeah, let's go get started. I don't need to think of boring conversation right now. I don't need to think of something right now. But when you don't have that, it's just like, okay, let's enjoy this present moment. People get uncomfortable with that. So you might stop hanging out with those relationships. That might be hard in the beginning because you might be in a place right now where all you have is these relationships. And this is why I see people having such a hard time getting away from alcohol is because their relationships are only associated with alcohol right now. Well, that's fucking sad. Sorry to say it, but that is a sad existence. And you're probably going to live a pretty mediocre lifestyle if that's it. You're probably going to stay in the same job. You're probably going to complain to your wife. You're probably going to complain to your friends, and you're just going to be a negative human being. Sorry to put it so blunt. And I understand there's people, and they're probably not even watching this, but I understand there's people that have a good, healthy relationship with alcohol, and they can do this. This isn't for you, so don't get all butthurt. This isn't for you. But I'd say 80% of people do not have a healthy relationship with alcohol. So this is for them. So the 20% of you, just move on. Move on, Charlie. It's not for you. Because I love when I get the messages, oh yeah, I'm able to still do this. Cool, brother. Cool. I'm not speaking to you. But there's people, uh, um, that's what I'm looking for. There's people having real hard challenges in the dark right now. There's people that are extremely desperate and don't know how to get this out of their life. I'm speaking to them. I'm speaking to you. There is help and there's other people on this path. There's so much to gain. There's so much to gain throughout this path. If you're a spiritual person, your connection with God, with the universe, is going to skyrocket because alcohol is 100% a spirit, the devil energy. It's just it's negative devil energy is really what it is. You tend to make impulsive decisions. If you were to ever cheat on your partner, it would most likely because you were induced under alcohol. I've had people say do something so bad to their significant other and it's like, "Yeah, but I was drinking." What? What? That's fucking sad. So, your connection with spirit, with source, with your ability to attract abundance into your life is going to skyrocket. When I would do my sober journeys, I'd do 90 days sober and my connection with God and with the universe was at such a great point that things were just happening effortlessly to me in my life. And then I drank and things would go down and I'd have to bring it back up again. But when I don't have this vice, it's like a constant up. Life is just consistently going up and getting better. And the amount of times that I say on a daily basis, wow, I'm so grateful for this life. Wow, this is an amazing life. I wouldn't say that much when I was drinking a lot in my life. I wouldn't say that much because I'd feel very low and I'd feel anxious and I just wouldn't actually have like true gratitude for existence. Gratitude is one of the highest frequencies. So if you are consistently exercising gratitude, you are radiating with one of the highest frequencies. And with alcohol being in your life, you tend to not express as much gratitude. It's just how it is. Maybe you'll be with your friends and you'll be inebriated and say, oh, I love you, brother. I'm so happy for you. That's manufactured gratitude from an external source. It's not true. It's not a true radiation feeling. And tomorrow, it's not going to feel the same way. You're going to feel a little bit different. With that frequency, so gratitude is one of the highest frequencies, you are going to start to radiate a new frequency when you get alcohol out of your life. This frequency is going to be your new baseline. It's like a radio station. Right now, people on a very staticky radio station with alcohol being a big part of their life. I was on a very staticky radio station where it was a very inconsistent. Reception would go in and out. I'd be radiating and I'd be off. It just now I got Barry Manilow coming in smooth at this radio station all the time. And you will attract other people into your life that are radiating on this frequency as well. And wow, is it beautiful when you start seeing these deep connections. People who see you for you. Not because the guy that was really talkative the other night because he had a couple drinks in him, or the guy that they know that they can go let loose with. No, the guy that and the gal that they are interested in you. Those type of relationships will come in. One of the coolest things happened to me earlier this year. I met this amazing, beautiful girl from Ukraine. I actually did a podcast with her with Alyssa. So you guys can see that podcast with Alyssa. But one of the first things she said to me, we went out to have sushi together. We went on a little date when we first met. And I asked her, because you get nervous sometimes with going on a first date, like just letting them know, like, hey, like the vibe for me is I don't drink. So I asked her like what she likes to drink, and she talked about like, oh, like a couple like not like cocktails or something like this. But she didn't say non-alcoholic. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, cool. And she's like, "You don't drink alcohol, do you?" Or something along those lines of like, "You're not a drinker." Like she knew. She inherently knew I wasn't a drinker. She said, "Oh, me neither. Of course not. I would never have that in my life." And I was like, "Whoa, how'd you know I wasn't?" Oh, just your energy. That was a really beautiful thing for me to get from another person. And you'll start to see it through the relationships you attract. You start to attract some relationships that are radiating on a really high frequency. That's like, I doubt this person drinks. And you're usually almost right. Like I met a dude the other day, he had a beautiful golden retriever, and we had a 5-minute conversation in the elevator or outside of the elevator, started in the elevator, outside the elevator. And we were able to connect on a high level. And he was from Europe. And I kind of brought up that I don't drink. I forget why. Oh, we were talking about Medellin, and I was like, oh, I love living in Laureles. Poblato's a little crazy for me. I don't drink, so I don't like going out in Poblado. He's like, oh, brother, I don't drink either. We already have a lot in common, so I think we could connect with. We connected, we went out, we had an amazing night. Our lives are very similar. It's just really cool to find someone like that. And kind of moving from there, how do you navigate dating sober? So this is something that I've had friends because a lot of their past relationships and dates tend to be big drinkers or like to go on the first date drinking. This has been an interesting experience for me. I started to date this girl in Rhode Island uh, beginning of last year. It's like a year ago now, and at this point, I wasn't fully off the whacking, but I was like going 3 months. So I was sober when I started dating her, and she at first she's like, I don't know how I feel about that. And I was like, okay, it is what it is. If you don't like it, no problem. I'll move on. But she really liked me. So we ended up sticking it out. We did the sober dating thing, and then something else happened that didn't work out. But you just got to stay so grounded in your truth and not second guess it that they'll either stay or they won't. And if they won't stay with you because you don't drink, that's probably someone that you don't want to be with anyway. So I would suggest to avoid the dating apps. Dating apps are stupid in my opinion anyway. It's just like it's a cheat. It's an excuse to not do the hard thing, which is to go talk to people. TTP baby, talk to people. TTF, talk to females. Go speak to females. And it's like, oh, I don't know where to find them. What the fuck are you talking about? They're everywhere. I see them all over the place. No matter what city I'm in, there's a beautiful girl. So I would recommend, I like to, because I want to attract people that are on a similar wavelength to me. So where do you find people on a similar wavelength to you? Well, what do you do? I already told you what I like to do. I like to go to the gym. I like to go hiking. I like to do yoga classes. I like to sit in cafes and work. So that's what I do. And you find people that are also doing that. And then at that point, you just start mingling, you start introducing yourself, you start asking questions, being super curious. It's just like, hey, I saw you at this cafe the other day. What are you doing here in Medellin or wherever you live? Like, did you grow up in this state or where are you from? And just start off with a question and then you'll see where it goes. People overthink a lot on that. And that's why they tend to go to alcohol is because their initial brain overthinks. But when you just don't overthink and you just do and you start talking to people, it'll really help. And one way to help with this is don't only talk to people that you're interested in. Start being the type of person that talks to everyone. So if you're in a line and there's an old lady behind you, hey, how are you doing today? And just start talking. And what'll happen is you'll get your frequency up of the type of person that talks to everyone. So now if a hot girl is behind you or a hot guy's behind you, you're just the type of person that talks to the person behind you. So it's not going to be like an approach. I got a buddy that he like gamifies dating, and to me it's such a annoyance where it's like, dude, this isn't like a game for me. This is life. I don't want to see how many girls I can approach and go high five you after. It's not it for me. That does not make me feel good about it. I don't enjoy doing that. I want to go speak with someone, and I'm not just trying to get their phone number. I want to see if I actually enjoy them, if it's even worth it for me to get their phone number. So how do I do that? Well, go have a genuine conversation and just see if there's compatibility. in the beginning. And from there, you'll attract good people and you won't come off as desperate because if I'm like, okay, I got to get this girl's number. She's so hot. Yeah, she's hot, but she could be dumb as a doorknob and just not what you want. Or she could just be not what you're looking for. She might be exteriorly hot, but what's going on in the interior? I'm more interested in what's going on in the inside and also to see if there's connection. If there's, because I've been around some really, really beautiful women, but they felt like cousins to me. It just didn't feel like there'd be connection at all. And that would be weird to force a relationship like that. And I've been around not even really like a solid 6'5", like a solid 6. And I felt so deeply attracted to them that to me they were a 10. Exterior 6, but to me a 10. So, also stop caring what other people think about what you're dating and what's worth it. So might even have to do another podcast just on that if anyone's interested. Maybe comment if you'd like me to talk more on that. Because I tend to do coach men on females because men struggle with that these days. And it's been something that's always come quite naturally to me because I don't treat it like a game like a lot of men do or like Neil Strauss. I just treat it like life and I just stay grounded in my authentic self. And that tends to attract people that also stay grounded in their authentic self. So longevity and energy. I believe a lot of people are stepping into the sobriety at this stage of like late 20s, early 30s right now is because there's a big push for longevity. People wanting to live for a long time, people wanting to biohack and all these things. And alcohol is just not good for your brain health, not good for your body. That's just that much is clear. We want to live for a long time and be effective for a long time. I want to be running marathons at 60 years old. I want to be in CrossFit for a long time. I want to be extremely flexible. I want to be able to do these things. That's what's going to bring me happiness, not sitting at a pub. So Huberman did a podcast, which would be worth it, about how alcohol affects your brain, which sometimes this hasn't happened to me in a while. But in my beginning phase, when I started to get like the itch to want to drink, I would just listen to that podcast and I'd be like, no, I'm good now. So use the old atomic habits approach. So building trust with yourself too. I mean, I feel like we kind of touched on this earlier, but no more broken promises to yourself, which is just going to allure yourself into huge amounts of confidence that is going to carry with you in everything that you do. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I had some notes that I was going off of today, but a lot of this was just coming from the heart. And I know I missed out on some things that I probably wanted to touch on, but I wanted to keep these individual episodes relatively shorter and to the point. So I really hope you enjoyed this. If you did, shoot me a comment. Give me a subscribe to the Dream State Living podcast and like this so I can continue to put these out on a weekly basis. Much love.